It's no secret Marvel has wonderfully integrated our media, and with their recent announcement of new shows being produced, I think now is the perfect time to look back on some more cartoons. A lot of them are considered to be one of the greatest cartoons ever, and they helped a lot of kids be introduced to these wonderful stories. Now, I'm not going to be discussing all of them. Some were a little bit before my time, or I was just unable to watch them. So I'm only going to be discussing the most popular ones or the ones worth mentioning. With that said, time to suit up and start binge watching. Let's take a look at the first ever Marvel cartoon, The Marvel Superheroes, premiering on ABC in 1966. This served as an umbrella series of 5 segments, that being of Captain America, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, The Mighty Thor, and The Submariner. The first thing you probably notice about the series is its animation. That's because it was used using a technique called xerography, which is just photocopying panels from comics. That's why the only animation you do see is from mouth movement. This can be seen as either extremely cheap or even smart thinking. But one thing is certain, some of these images are kind of weird.
I have special eyes.
Most of these lines can be really weird out of context also.
Now I'll spin him like a top.
With a combo of cheap animation and almost inappropriate sound effects, it's a pretty goofy show, which is a common theme we're going to see for a while. This show is like a car crash. It's terrible, but I can't look away. Also appearing on ABC is the Fantastic Four. This is a much better show. For starters, it was animated by Hanna-Barbera, so there's a bit more effort put into animation. On top of its campy dialogue, it's more entertaining and you can actually watch through it.
The first man to land on the moon shall rule the world.
Oh, of course, everyone knows that. We should be worshipping this man. Also, Dr. Doom is so cute looking here. Fun fact, the Japanese version of the show is called Space Ninja Goons, which is fitting. Memes. Other than that catchy theme song that we still use today, the Spider-Man cartoon, running for a pretty long run from 1967 to 1970, is still relevant in our modern culture. And yes, that's because of its memes.
I'm just pointing at your pointer, which is different than normal pointing. You haven't seen pointing until I get through with you, and then you'll know.
I love this just fine, but why this show? All the other Marvel cartoons from the 60s and 70s have some great meme potential. Oh well. Maybe because Spidey has always interfered with youth culture. Memes aside, this is a pretty fun watch, even with Peter sounding like a 40-year-old man.
Spider-Man. What did you expect, Peter Pan?
It was the world's strangest accident. While testing a new
And the Fantastic Four series, except this time it's on ABC and... Wait a minute, where's Johnny? Where's the Human Torch? Okay, so apparently Johnny Storm's TV rights were tied up by a proposed TV pilot movie, then developed by Universal Studios. To make matters worse, it was never produced. Thanks, Universal, you ruined everything. Now we're stuck with this robot named Herbie to replace him, and that's the biggest crime in my opinion. In fact, Herbie has been adapted into the comics as well, and he's enjoyable there and here, but... Jeez, it just feels weird about Johnny. The only other thing worth mentioning here is that it has that one Magneto scene.
Not this time, Magneto. This time I'm fighting for real.
It's impossible. It cannot be. Nothing can defy my magnetic power. How did you do it? How did you take away my power?
I didn't, Magneto. I merely tricked you.
You lie. I couldn't control your gun. You made me lose my magnetism.
You're wrong. I just guessed that you'd overlook one simple thing. Your magnetic power only works on metal, like all magnets. But my gun isn't real. I made it out of wood, specially to fool you.
What? A wooden gun?
Classic. Yes, one of the greatest Marvel villains ever gets turned into a senile old man who has a mental breakdown over a wooden gun. And it's great.
A wooden gun. He tricked me with a wooden gun.
Now, these shows you can at least get an ironic joy out of, but I really want a Marvel cartoon that adapts this source material perfect. You know what I'm talking about. Marvel cartoon on the then young Fox Kids, it was a massive hit. To the point they tried replicating it with the other shows. But we'll get to that soon. Even to this day, it's considered to be not only the greatest comic book show ever, but anime show ever also. And yes, this is true. It's one of the first cartoons ever to have depth and high stakes. It did not talk down to its kids' audience. And it's most noticeably known to not shy away from its prejudice allegories. Like, holy hell, there's a scene where Xavier makes Magneto relive his memories of the Holocaust. Like, oh my god! It stayed true to the comics both in spirit and its art. You can argue it's a much better adaptation than those so-called adult movies. I paid $5 to see Dark Phoenix and I still feel ripped off. X-Men to me is just about the perfect cartoon, both from an artistic standpoint and marketing. And Fox especially milked that latter one.
Rogue, Sabretooth, Magneto, Cable, Storm, Professor X, Phoenix, Bishop, Archangel, Apocalypse, Iceman.
You forgot some.
Mr. Sinister, Omega Red, Colossus, Juggernaut, Weapon X, Sauron, Longshot, Pyro, Gladiator.
The Force has come to Pizza Hut. Marvel Comics X-Men. For $2.99, you can get a personal pan pizza X-Men cup and one of 4 all-new exclusive edition X-Men comic books.
I'm not gonna lie, that Pizza Hut deal looks awesome. X-Men was a massive hit, still being rightfully enjoyed to this day. And that's amazing knowing we were close to getting this instead.
No place to hide, no place to run, no place to run. The mutant age has now begun. X-Men, it's the day.
But that's a story for another day. Coming up right next is the Fantastic Four. Now, X-Men is known for its intro, and rightfully so. It's perfect. With its visuals of explosions and lasers, all topped off that awesome guitar. It is the pure definition of badass. What did they do for the FF? At first, I was so confused by how contracting they were. But then I looked more into it. X-Men and FF are pretty different from each other, both in themes and tone, which includes the time periods they peaked in. X-Men in the 90s, which is why their intro should be like this. The FF in the 60s, which makes sense why it's like this. But enough about its bouncy intro. How's the actual show? Well, the good news here is that Johnny's back, and the strangest part about it is that he's voiced by Mr. Megan Fox himself, Brian Austin Green from Beverly Hills 90210. Yes, he does rap, and yes, it's horrible.
This is for you, Melinda. I hope you like it. Yeah. Hey, y'all, don't teach this in school. It's not always cool to be cool.
The series itself can be a lot of fun, but boy can the bad animation be distracting. Like, what's up with Dr. Doom's pumpkin teeth? And gee, that smile. This series wasn't really well received, with it only lasting for 2 seasons. I don't think even Marvel liked it that much. In issue 396 of the Fantastic Four, they meta enough watch the show and rip it a new one. Wow, that's harsh. Flying right in next is Iron Man, and oh my god. Wow, window movie maker titles. That's what I think of when I think of Iron Man. The whole show is kind of like this. For starters, the Mandarin is the main bad guy, but he's green for some reason? Well, hey, at least he's still more threatening than in Iron Man 3. And also this happens for some reason.
Aerospace protocols interlock with mainframe and evaluate options. Robot sentinels arm and patrol at once. No intruder shall pass alive.
Season 2 is much better, but that's mostly because of its new intro that fits more with Tony Stark. Also, it predicted 9/11. I'm not making this up! Season 1, Episode 5. We not only see a simulation of the Twin Towers being shot at, but the Mandarin's plan is to steal a military plane and fly it through the Pentagon. Oh my god, this is horrible. I'm never watching the show again. I hate it 3000. Swinging in next is Spider-Man, which managed to gain the same popularity as X-Men, with it lasting for 5 seasons, and for pretty good reason too. It's a great adaptation of the comics, with it not only dealing with Peter's superhero life, but also his personal one. I especially love how they dealt with the Venom saga. They did not shy away from its imagery, with them also having Peter act kind of dark. And yes, this did lead us to this amazing scene.
Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
You know, I'm just trying to think it's required by law for all Spider-Man properties to have a news. All the stuff I previously mentioned is all good, but there are a few things holding the show back. It's Peter mostly himself. He is a chatterbox here, with us constantly listening to his inner monologue. And I know that's what he did in the comics, but oh my god, take a moment to breathe. Oh well, this show's pretty cool, but it's still having fans today. I can see why. Smashing right in next is the Incredible Hulk. And oh my god, this series is awesome. Not only the opening intro, but also the show itself perfectly shows the true meaning of Bruce's and Hulk's life. It can be extreme, intense, and even dramatic, just like the 78 Hulk show. Speaking of which, Lou Ferrigno did the voice of Hulk, and to top that off, the late Luke Perry played Rick Jones. Which is fitting. Believe it or not, this is my first introduction to Hulk. I managed to catch a rerun of an episode on ABC, and I was still pretty young, so I don't remember much, but I do remember this scene.
Muchas gracias.
Want to thank the show for showing me that. It's just the same, it only lasted for 2 seasons. Now unfortunately, I never knew much about Silver Surfer, despite him being in a lot of comics I read. I just knew he was this T-1000 looking guy who worked on Galactus. But now that I watch the show, I am hooked on the story. I can't wait to read more about him and see him in the MCU. And for the show itself, well, the story isn't the only strong suit it has. It really nails that Jack Kirby art style, and they incorporated computer animation. And it can look kind of weird and even aged at times, but other times it's really impressive looking. If you just like that cosmic side of Marvel, you'll love this series, and it fully thrives in it. Despite being such an ambitious series with a lot of effort and care put into it, it only lasted 13 episodes on a cliffhanger. Tragic. But it's nothing to get too mad about. It's still a cult classic today, and it brought us this wonderful commercial.
Mr. Surfer, have you ever considered propane as an alternative energy source for that board of yours? With a little retooling, I could get it to work.
Kevin Feige, take notes. This is what we want in Phase 5. Speaking of which, where's the Avengers? Nowadays, we all know and love them, but what was their first cartoon like? I'm sure it was awesome, and no way a product of its